Good evening, everyone. It's Joe here for another one of my little sit down chats with all of you. This particular video was brought on by an encounter that I had with one of my coworkers at my part time job. Um, he asked me a question that got me thinking, which isn't hard to do, as many of you know. But I really liked where this one went, and so I just wanted to share it with you real quick. So the conversation went a little bit like this, just a question and answer. Joe, what do you think it takes to be in the top 1%? Now, of course, he was referring to the top 1% of people in the United States who are extremely successful and wealthy. And I told him, I sincerely believe that it's a good mind, a good heart, and the ability to communicate between the two. It's that simple. Well, actually, it's not, and that's why I'm going to talk to you for the next 6 minutes or so. So think with me here for a moment. All the time on social media, we see posts about people who say, well, I was thinking about getting some work done, but instead I felt bored with it, and so I went on Netflix and, well, watched another one one episode. Um, this hypothetical person, who represents many of us, including myself, is clearly self aware of the fact that he or she is engaging in this behavior but lacks the ability to act on what it is that this person really wants and work out an effective solution to it. And I think we've all been in situations like this before. So, likewise, we may have a strong understanding of how another person's feeling. We may sympathize with them, yet lack the necessary ingredient to respond to it appropriately, to do something effective that that helps them out, you could say. I believe that this ingredient that we're missing is a strong emotional intelligence. I mean, the four components, you could say, of being an operational adult in society are self awareness, personal management, and social awareness, relationship management. Our ability to communicate between what we think and what we feel is called emotional intelligence and dominates our ability to get each of these four components working together. Now, consider this. I've observed in a number of people, including myself, the occasional tendency to exhibit a behavior I call droning. Now, the occasional occurrence of this behavior may just be the result of being tired or frustrated, but when it happens all the time, it's a serious emotional issue, emotional intelligence issue. So allow me to ask you all a question. Have you ever presented a good idea for how to do something better to someone in an engaging, non-forceful way, only to have them shrug it off and keep doing it the way that they had been doing it before? It's pretty frustrating, and I'm sure you've all encountered it before. Now, why call it droning? Well, in American honeybee populations, I know, completely changing uh, track here with a little bit of an analogy. So, in American honeybee populations, there are certain male bees that are called drones. Uh, these bees are programmed essentially by other members of the hive to perform certain tasks in a certain way. If you capture one of these drones on their way back from a mission and remove the honey that they're carrying, they will continue on their way to the hive and put the non existent honey where they were directed to place it. Can you see why this kind of behavior might not be something exhibited by the top 1%? Usually, the top 1% got up there by doing things differently. Um, Now, I call it an emotional intelligence issue because it represents an inability to undo the programming, you could say, to manage one's emotions and look at things rationally. Now, I don't know exactly like if it's an emotional thing for drones or, I mean, it's probably just the way it is naturally. But that's about as far as my understanding of that goes. What I'm trying to say here is that for us, it's almost like we form an emotional attachment to doing things in a certain way because it's worked for us before, or it's worked for someone else before. And we just have a hard time changing that behavior when a potentially better method comes along. Now, it's not droning to say, well, that actually won't work as well because of this, this, and this. You're welcome to try it. Bring me a proof of concept, and if you can prove to me that it's better, then I'll change. That's not droning. Droning is just being like, huh, okay, well, I'm just gonna go do things a different way. Um, So, I sincerely believe that one of the major reasons why people with high EQs are typically more successful than people with high IQs is because without emotional intelligence, either our emotions or our intelligence is going to run away with us, resulting in some level of, insane tangents, mental breakdowns, and erratic emotional behaviors to varying degrees. Like I said in one of my previous videos, people with strong emotional intelligences are much more likely to be successful than people who just have high IQs, right? And this, like, again, this I believe is because people who have high emotional intelligences are able to manage their emotions and their relationships and keep those things from getting in the way of them using their IQ to get stuff done. So the actual number is 70% according to social scientists Travis Bradbury and Jean Greaves, and hopefully some or all of you are starting to see why. Uh, so here's the good news. Unlike IQ, which is believed to be fixed, EQ, or emotional intelligence, can be increased through practice. So I strongly recommend all of you read Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It's a really, really quick read, very well written. Um, read it twice, read it 3 times, implement what you find within its pages, and I promise you will become unstoppable. The simplest way I can think of to put it is that people with high emotional intelligences are unstoppable in any field because they neither get bogged down in negative emotions nor present those emotions to other people. So anyway, in my next video, I will either be talking about Gary Vaynerchuk and the opportunity industry, or I will be doing a presentation on blockchain. Regardless, both are in the future. Have a very restful night, and I look forward to sitting down with you again next week.